Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Pine Cove Farm here in Farming Simulator 19 with me, CWATTY, where we need to start doing some cultivating of our freshly harvested field. So, grabbing the big fent, I do need a front weight which has been carefully deposited over here by our good friend Mr. Stevie, who made this wonderful, lovely map. So pick up the weight. I'm going to go grab a cultivator or subsoiler, whichever one is in this shed down here. And we're going to go tackle our field now. Which of these is which? Which of these is indeed which? We'll find out as we back up to it. That is the subsoiler. And that's a plough, apparently. Right, we're going to take the subsoiler. We don't need to plough. Right. And we're going to head off down to our field and start doing some work on it. Get it ready for its first planting, having now done the harvesting. We're also going to discuss a few things today in regards to Farming Simulator 22, because Giants have been kind enough to release a few more little tidbits of information for us all of what we can expect and get used to when the game comes out later in the year. The first of which they've already announced there's going to be a collector's edition of the game this year, which you will be able to pre-order very soon for your platforms of choice. The collector's edition this year made up of an expanded set of modding tools and tutorial videos, which shows you how to work with Blender and things like that, which might appeal to some people. It's going to come with 2 A2 sized posters, which I think are going to be maps of the 2 in-game apps. A whole bunch of lovely shiny stickers of different manufacturers, different types for you to stick and put wherever you want. And the big feature this year is going to be a USB beacon light. That is right, folks. There's going to be a USB beacon light in the collector's edition that you can connect and plug into your computer, that when you are playing FS19, or FS22 should I say, when you are playing FS22 and you activate your vehicle's beacon in game, it's going to turn the beacon on your desk or wherever you choose to put it in your room where you are playing Farming Simulator. It will activate the beacon in real life. Interesting choice of addition to the collector's edition. Not really too sure what my thoughts are on that yet. I must admit I'm more used to receiving the die-cast model tractor of whatever tractor is their featured cover art for the game. Last year, of course, it was the John Deere tractor that everybody got in the collector's edition. I also like receiving the little item. Like last year, we got the Farming Simulator hat, beanie hat, woolly hat for winter, which I thought was great for wearing. I've worn it several times. I would have liked maybe a Farming Simulator cap, you know? I think that would have been a nice addition to the collector's edition, a nice cap with Farming Simulator on it for us to wear, you know? I've often thought in the past about things like t-shirts and stuff, but that is so hard to do with collector's editions because obviously you generally have to go with a one-size-fits-all product, which then obviously doesn't fit everybody. not by a long way. And as someone who themselves has grown quite a bit physically over the last year or so, I would struggle to find, I would struggle to imagine there'd be a t-shirt in anything like a collector's edition that would fit me these days. So, yeah, the t-shirt's probably out of the thing, unless there was a way for you to order it, you know, in the size you wanted after the fact. But, you know, a baseball cap would have been a nice addition to a collector's edition, following the woolly hat we got, you know, last year. I don't know whether they did a baseball cap in previous years, because obviously I've never bought a collector's edition of Farming Simulator before FS19. Will I be getting the collector's edition of FS22? Sure, I'll order one, definitely. I mean, I won't be able to use it, much like the FS19 collector's edition, because I don't have a disk drive on my PC, so I can't install the game, because it comes on obviously on PC it comes on a disc. I won't be able to install it anywhere. But yeah, I will definitely be ordering a collector's edition. I will also obviously be ordering the Steam version of the game, as I always do, because I just like having the game on Steam in one simple, easy place. I just hope that they do a season pass on Steam right out the gate, right out the box for everybody. And it would be nice as well, obviously with me being a Giants partner, if they gave us some affiliate links or affiliate codes for Steam that players can use to redeem on Steam, to buy Steam versions. And most of the affiliate links are for buying the game and the DLCs and stuff directly from Giants, which works in principle. It's just a bit awkward for updating and with the activation limits and stuff, and you know. Whereas on Steam just works. You know, Steam just works. But yeah, that was one of the announcements we've seen for Farming Simulator 22 this week. Obviously, the other announcement was that we're going to be getting production chains. Production chains are coming to Farming Simulator. What has only been achievable in-game, thanks to modders, thanks to things like the fill-type mover script, thanks to Global Company, is now actually coming to the base game of Farming Simulator. There are going to be production chains on the maps where you can take your crops, your harvested materials, have them turned into other products, and then take those products and be able to turn them into other things as well, or sell them, you know. So we've seen quite a few little bits of, obviously, one of the production chains listed in the game was obviously taking your wheat or your barley, turning it into flour, taking that off to a bakery where it is then paired up with butter and other things, and it's made into bread or cakes, which you can then take and sell. I assume there's obviously then going to be other production chains as well for the other types of products. I mean, imagine butter. I mean, there's going to obviously be a production chain for that, requiring, obviously, I'm guessing, milk from your cows, from your animals. I don't know how much in-depth the production chains are going to be regarding the animals, whether you will be taking livestock, you know, basically to Mr. Abattoir to turn them into meat products. I don't know whether Giants are going to ever incorporate something like that into their base game, because obviously, you know, little Johnny and little Sarah who play the game, the little children, they might be a little bit horrified when their little piggies and their little sheeps and their little cows get chopped to bits and turned into food. But it'll be interesting to see like what other production chains are built into the base game, into the vanilla maps, and are available right out the gate. Because that's obviously going to give us a lot more stuff to do right out the gate. You know, especially when we are waiting for fields to be ready for harvesting or be ready for seeding or whatever. You know, whilst we're waiting for field work to come up, we're going to be able to entertain ourselves away from the fields in more ways that previous versions of Farm Sim didn't offer. I mean, pretty much in FS19, this current game, if you're not doing field work, the only other thing that you're able to do is go do a bit of tree chopping. You know, if you're not dealing with your animals, feeding your animals and that, all you can do is go and chop down trees. So it's going to be interesting to have the new supply chain element in the game, because obviously I love production stuff. I love productions. When the production mods started coming out, I absolutely loved them. And every map I've played pretty much this year has had productions, global company installed, all that good stuff. This is actually the first map where I've not installed any of that stuff. And it was actually quite painful to leave it out, because the great thing about a Stevie map is it just gives you placeable areas to put all the different buildings and to plop stuff down, which is a bit of a shame, really. So it's going to be nice. It's also going to be interesting to see then how the map makers and the modders, how they embrace the new production change thing in their maps. Are they going to be able to offer us different productions? Are they going to be able to come up with their own? Is it going to be, you know, is it going to be a script? Obviously, it's going to be the production change is going to be controlled by a script, obviously. But are modders and map makers going to be able to basically use that script and basically add whatever fill types they want to it to create their own different types of productions? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It would be nice if it is, because then we'd be able to get all the same sort of factories we've become accustomed to and grown used to in the current game. With the mods that are available, you know, you'll have your crisps factories, you'll be able to have your sunflower oil, sugar, biodiesel, all that kind of stuff. Be interesting to see if they do more with the wood, like tree chopping, like making pallets, making barrels, that sort of stuff. It's all quite interesting, the way Giants are going and the gameplay additions that they're putting into the new game coming out later this year. I know a lot of people are getting a little bit obsessed with the graphics and, oh, the graphics haven't changed, oh, the ground textures are still only 2D and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, gameplay to me is more important than looks. As long as the vehicles and the equipment look great and function great, the art style and that of the maps and the rest of the game doesn't bother me too much, you know. I mean, this game looks perfectly fine to me, because at the end of the day, I'm not really that fussed about the textures of the ground and the sky and stuff like that. I'm more concerned about the functionality of everything and how it all works in the game, you know. So the fact that Giants is going at this moment in time seems to be their direction is, let's provide more gameplay to the gamers, and give them more things that they can do in game and can partake in game, that to me seems a far better trade-off than, oh, it looks pretty but there's no substance there. You know? Plus, at the end of the day, I would rather have a game that functions and performs at a real high, you know, frame rate and that, than having a game that looks ultra photorealistic and runs at potato speed, especially when you consider the fact, people, we need to consider the fact that this game is played by a lot of people across a lot of different platforms which necessarily don't have massive amounts of computing power, CPU power, RAM, and real massive fancy graphics cards. In fact, let's be honest, if you're living in 2021 like we most of us are, you can't get a graphics card for love nor money, so what's the point in Giants really buffing up the graphics to a point where nobody could play the game because no one can buy a graphics card that could run it? Doesn't make much sense for Giants to do that. I know people are saying, oh, we want 3D ground, we want ground that deforms as we drive over it and all that kind of stuff. Well, if you really want that kind of stuff, go play Cattle and Crops. I'll wait here, and then in about 15 minutes when you're bored of Cattle and Crops, you can come back and you know, we'll carry on playing Farming Simulator. Everybody, you know, if you want the tedium of playing a farming game with only one tractor, a 2-metre plough, and one map, go ahead, go play Cattle and Crops. Just because, oh, the ground's 3D and, oh, my tyres sink into it when I drive over it. That's fine. Go play that game. I've played it. It was fun for an hour or so. It's incredibly grindy. Because of the lack of equipment and the lack of equipment of any, you know, good size. But I have played it. And I'm going to, you know, at the end of the day, Cattle and Crops does some things good. But you then have to ask yourself, does it do those things good because it's only got a limited amount of items, vehicles, equipment, and it's only got the one map which everything operates on? You know, I think it would be a lot harder for Giants to recreate some of the things from Cattle and Crops, because not only do they need to have it function on 2 completely different maps out of the box, it's then got to work on mod maps, you know. And things like the AI, obviously, in Cattle and Crops, you've got to think, okay, all the different routes that the AI drivers can drive around the map, they can drive from place to place and stuff, that's all been programmed in at a map level. Are map makers, are the modders going to do that for Farming Simulator if they added that level of detail to the game? Because, you know, we're trying to get map makers already in this game to do certain things, and it's quite difficult, like, you know, getting them to do like proper field definitions on some maps, you know. That's been a bit of a challenge this year. Especially for some map makers who don't want to do proper field definitions. And yet you want them to do navigation routes at map level for all the AI vehicles and equipment. Could be challenging. But But I'm definitely looking forward to production change. I think that's going to be so much more fun out of the gate. And like I say, it gives us a great platform then for the modders to build upon and be able to bring out some new placeables and build new stuff into their maps. I mean, if for one thing I fully expect this new production chain system to do, I fully expect it's going to make maps look a lot more lived in, shall we say? Because obviously we're going to, rather than just having a sell point now to sell products, you're going to have all these extra different buildings that can handle productions. So there's going to be far more places to visit on a map, far more places to drive that you're going to have to drive to if you want to use them to do your productions, which means we're either going to see maps with far more like basically town constructions on them, or we're going to see maps with far more points, buildings just scattered all around them that we're going to have to visit and take trips to. That's going to be interesting because it's going to give, you know, the maps a bit of something else to look at. It's going to add obviously some more objects into the maps, flesh the maps out. Also raises the question, somewhat, maybe, possibly, that if we're getting all these extra production buildings and we're going to have all these different production chains and we're going to need to have all these extra different buildings and spaces allocated for them, are we going to see an increase in the default map size? Is the vanilla map going to be increased in size to accommodate the fact that we're going to have far more objects to put into it? That would be interesting to know and interesting to see if the vanilla map size is going to be increased from its current 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers in the Farming Simulator 22. Because an increase in map size to accommodate the production facilities would also then facilitate it and also give modders and map makers room to put bigger fields, which is always something you see from people in forums and in, you know, discussions regarding the game. A lot of people are like, oh, I really like the map, but the fields are so small, especially on American maps. The American map players get very, very worked up over field sizes. It doesn't feel like a Midwest map because the fields are so tiny. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. It would be nice, with obviously the move to next gen and everything, if Giants bumped the map size up a bit and gave us more room, not just for the production chains, but to have bigger fields and larger farming operations. I know a lot of people have been calling out for it. It's one of the reasons why 4X maps, obviously on PC, tend to be quite popular with a lot of people. And why some people have even gone bigger than that and done, like, you know, 16x maps. Haven't played any 16x maps because they tend to be very soulless. They tend to be very devoid of life and features, and the 16x maps tend to be the ones where the field definitions definitely are not set up. They also tend to be really, really flat and lack any kind of terrain sculpting and stuff. I did one on the I did a map tour review of it. Was it Rowena, Texas, the 16x map? That one was definitely like that. Could have done with being a little bit more contoured. Could have done with obviously having proper field definitions. But yeah, I think Farming Simulator 22, from what we've learnt about it so far, is it's certainly coming out with some things which are going to be nice on day one, before the modders get into it and start churning out the content. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. Obviously, we've got FarmCon coming up. FarmCon is next month. I think it is next month. 3 days. It's going to be an online event, obviously, this year, again, because of COVID. And I'm sure Giants are going to be releasing plenty of information regarding the new game during FarmCon. So definitely be worth watching that if you haven't watched it before. I'm sure they'll be doing it on their Twitch channel, which I think will be very, very good. I watched last year's FarmCon. That's where they announced like the class DLC. No, it wasn't. No, last year's was the Alpine DLC last year, wasn't it? They announced, yes. The class was the year before. Well, seeding's going well. We're getting through this field fairly quickly and capably. Yeah, canola I'm planting this time round on the field. Figured I'd give it a go. I have increased the timescale to 5 times for this video. I'm probably going to play on 5x speed, I think, for the remainder of the series. Which is always a bit risky when you're planting, in case you get the game's growth cycle triggers midway through the process. You end up with half the field at one stage of growth and the rest of it at another. Can't do anything about that. I'm not going to install growth control because it doesn't work on maps with the extra crops like this one has. Also, without GPS, I'm doing a terrible job. Terrible job. Not missing bits on my field. Okay, we don't want to drive up there. Let's just back that boy off. carry on down here. Choo-choo train. So yeah, we did quite well from the straw collection in the last episode. We made 72,000 bucks from all the straw that was on this field. Not bad. Not bad at all. Everyone will agree. We can be quite happy with that. We've still got all the wheat, obviously, as well, because we didn't sell the wheat. So that's all sat in the silo. We're not going to get any straw from this crop though. That is the one downside of not using the straw me mod. But there is another mod that I have got installed, which means on crops like canola, when you do if you like the blowing, you've got the normal swather disabled on the harvester, and it's just blowing all the chopped material out the back. That chopped material acts as fertiliser, so provides one stage of fertilisation to the field. So any crops that I harvest where I don't make straw will actually be fertilising the field instead, which I think could be just as useful than straw me, because hey, it's going to save me doing multiple fertilising applications, and it's going to save me buying fertiliser, which should make us a lot more profitable, because the only time I'm going to need to do any fertilising then is in the seeder itself. With a lot of crops, if when I'm doing like my corns, my canolas, my soybeans, because they're going to give me free fertiliser. My wheats, barley, oats, when I decide I don't need straw and I turn off the swather on those, they will then also give me fertiliser. So we do have that option open to us to cut down on the amount of chemical fertiliser we need to buy and apply, which, you know, without precision farming installed means, you know, that stuff's going to be quite a saving. The reason I chose not to install precision farming on this particular Let's Play was because I didn't know how it would react and behave with the mod that does the straw fertilising, and also because with this being obviously a Stevie map, and Stevie likes to give us compost, I wanted to be able to do fertilising with compost, which doesn't work with precision farming, because precision farming does not recognise compost as a fertilising material. Now, I have seen people modify precision farming to work with different products, but I don't know if those modded versions of precision farming are for use with specific maps or whether they work on any map. So although I have seen a version of precision farming that recognises compost as a fertiliser, I don't know if that would work with Stevie's map or whether it only works with the map that the mod author of that precision farming edit thing works with, if you know what I mean. So again, because this map's going to let me do compost, and I'm going to be able to do compost in bunkers, I figured I would run without precision farming on this particular map. Also, because I've got that contractor mod that lets me ring up people and have them come and do work for me on my fields, I wanted to be able to take advantage of that a bit more, which I couldn't do on Eureka Farms, because obviously I was running precision farming on Eureka Farms, and the contractor mod thing didn't work with lime spreading and fertilizing. They didn't lime spread and fertilize to the correct amounts because the mod's not compatible with precision farming. So no precision farming on this map, just basic. You've either got fertilizer on or you've got fertilizer off the field. The field's either light blue, dark blue, or no colour at all to indicate how much fertiliser is on it. And if you want 100% crop growth, you need to make sure the field's dark blue when you've finished applying all your fertiliser passes. I've also got a mod installed which gives you fertiliser, gives you a fertilising stage when you do weeds, when you do weed removal using a mechanical weeder. So again, that's kind of why I've left weeds on at the minute, because I want to test that out. So when the weeds grow on this field, if I get a mechanical weeder and go rip them out straight away, I can actually gain fertiliser for it, which again should reduce my need to do any manual spraying or spreading, possibly, potentially. I know people will say mechanical weeding won't stop the weeds growing back though, unlike herbicide. Or maybe herbicide is what we go to after we've done a pass with mechanical weeding. Maybe our sprayer, our Rubicon that Stevie has kindly given us, will only be used for weed removal, final weed removal spraying, herbicide spraying, and possibly contracting, if we do fertilising contracts, of course. Although we have got the Bradle as well for that. We can do solid fertiliser spreading too. But obviously if I go really all out on compost production, I could also do fertilising contracts using compost, which would be another massive gain. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on, get the rest of this field finished, because I am looking at the time and the video's getting a little bit long. I will thank everybody for watching today's video and say I hope you've enjoyed it. And I will see you again in another video very soon here on the map, where we're probably going to go off and do some contracting, I would think, because obviously this field will be case of, okay, we just need to wait for it to be harvesting, so we need to go off and busy ourselves, introduce ourselves to some of the locals, see if they want us to do any jobs for them, and then yeah, take it from there really. Go off and see some other bits of the map, and yeah, see how it's all going. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you're liking this series so far. And I'll see you all in the next video very soon. From now, from me, it's goodbye.